The history of mankind is inseparable from the history of war. From the very dawn of civilization, men have been fighting each other for reasons of ideology, land, resources, power, prestige, or simply because they don't like each other. As someone once said, war is just humanity's way of solving problems, while making absolutely sure that there are no solutions. So let's go back in time and talk about some of the biggest and most influential wars in human history. The timeline starts here with the first recorded war in history. It was fought between the two Mesopotamian civilizations of Sumer and Elam around the year 2700 BCE. Sumer, located in what is today southern Iraq, is widely considered to be the birthplace of civilization, and their early records contain the earliest known examples of writing, mathematics, astronomy, and other hallmarks of culture. But despite being home to some of the greatest minds and most brilliant innovations in history, Sumer was also the site of some of the first organized warfare in human history. In around 2700 BCE, the Sumerian city of Lagash went to war against the neighboring kingdom of Umma, over control of the fertile lands around the twin rivers of the Euphrates and the Tigris. This conflict is recorded in a Sumerian text known as the Battle of the 30 Years, which describes how the kings of Lagash and Umma assembled large armies consisting of infantry, archers, and chariots to fight each other. Eventually, Lagash came out on top, securing its dominance in the region. Unfortunately, not much else is known about the war beyond what is contained in this single ancient text, so details are scarce. However, it remains an important event in history, as it represents the earliest clear example of organized warfare between two states. Before the Sumerians developed writing, there were of course conflicts between humans. Bands of nomadic hunters would raid settled villages for food and resources, and larger groups would occasionally wage war against each other. But the Sumerian battle against Umma was the first war between two established civilizations, the first time that two organized groups of people went to war with each other on purpose. Ever since then, war has gone hand in hand with the development of civilization. Wherever there are cities, there are bound to be rivalries and competition for power, land, and resources. And where there is competition, there is conflict. So now let's move forward in time to around 1200 BCE to see one of the most famous wars in all of human history, the Trojan War. Legend has it that the war began when Paris, a Trojan prince, kidnapped Helen, the wife of the Greek king Menelaus, and brought her back to Troy. Enraged, Menelaus called upon his brother Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae, to lead an army to Troy to retrieve Helen and punish Paris. Over the next 10 years, the Greeks laid siege to the city, culminating in the famous Trojan horse episode, in which a Greek force snuck into the city disguised as prisoners and opened the gates to allow the rest of the Greek army to enter and sack the city. But although the story of the Trojan War has become famous through Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, as well as countless works of art and literature that have inspired it, historians have been unable to confirm any of it. While there is evidence that a city existed at the site of modern-day Turkey known as Hisarlik, the supposed location of Troy, there is no evidence of a great war between Greece and the Trojans. It may be that the Trojan War was entirely mythical, or that it was a minor conflict that was later embellished by storytellers. Either way, it has left an indelible mark on human culture and imagination. Let's fast forward to the 5th century BCE to see the first true clash of civilizations between the mighty Persian Empire and the Greek city-states during what is known as the Persian Wars. After centuries of gradual expansion, the Achaemenid Empire, commonly known as the Persian Empire, stretched from Central Asia to the Middle East and North Africa, and from the Balkans to the Pacific Ocean. At its peak in the 6th century BC, it was the largest empire the world had ever seen. But in 499 BC, the Persians entered into a conflict with the Greek city of Ionia, which had recently revolted against Persian rule. With the help of Athens, the Ionian city-states fought back against the Persians, achieving a decisive victory at the Battle of the River Cayster. This defeat humiliated the Persians, who were determined to crush the Greeks and reassert their dominance in the region. Over the next few years, the Persians launched two massive invasions of Greece, culminating in the famous battles of Marathon in 490 BCE and Thermopylae in 480 BCE. Despite being outnumbered, the Greeks defeated the Persians at both battles, ending the Persian threat to Greece and establishing the Greek city-states as major players in the ancient world. Moving on to the 3rd century BC, we come to the Punic Wars, a series of 3 conflicts between Rome and Carthage. Carthage was a Phoenician colony located in North Africa that grew into a major maritime power rivaling the expanding Roman Republic. The First Punic War was fought over control of the western Mediterranean and resulted in a Roman victory. The Second Punic War saw the brilliant Carthaginian general Hannibal Barca lead his army across the Alps to invade Italy. Although Hannibal achieved several stunning victories against the Romans, Rome's superior manpower and resources eventually won out, and the war ended in another Roman victory. The Third Punic War was the last and most destructive conflict between the two powers. Rome, led by the ruthless dictator Scipio Africanus, invaded Carthage and utterly destroyed the city, killing or enslaving most of its inhabitants and selling the rest into slavery. This victory established Rome as the dominant power in the Mediterranean and set the stage for the Roman conquest of the Western world. One of the most iconic moments of the Second Punic War, Hannibal's crossing of the Alps with his war elephants in 218 BCE, has become a symbol of military daring and resilience. In the 13th century CE, a small nomadic tribe from Northeast Asia would unite under the leadership of Genghis Khan and conquer the largest contiguous empire in history. The Mongol conquests would reshape the political and cultural landscape of Eurasia, leaving a legacy of destruction and cultural exchange in its wake. After uniting the Mongol tribes, Genghis Khan turned his attention to the vast and diverse territories of the Khwarezmian Empire, launching a devastating invasion in 1219. The Mongols, renowned for their equestrian skills and military innovations, such as the use of gunpowder and psychological warfare, overwhelmed the Khwarezmians, sacking cities like Bukhara and Samarkand. Genghis's grandson, Ogedei Khan, continued the westward expansion, conquering vast parts of Russia and Eastern Europe before his death in 1241. Under Batu Khan, the Mongols pushed as far west as Poland and Hungary, but their advance into Europe was halted after the Battle of the Kalka River. The Mongol Empire reached its territorial peak under the reign of Mungka Khan, encompassing much of Asia and Eastern Europe. Kublai Khan, founder of the Yuan dynasty, completed the conquest of the Song dynasty in 1279, marking the end of the empire's expansion. During their conquests, the Mongols engaged in brutal warfare, often destroying entire cities and massacring their inhabitants. However, they also facilitated cultural exchange along the trade routes of the Silk Road, influencing the spread of technologies and ideas across Eurasia. Now moving to medieval Europe, we come to the Hundred Years' War, a long-running conflict between England and France that lasted from 1337 to 1453. Despite its name, the war was fought in stages over a period of more than 100 years, with periods of intense fighting, alternating with times of peace and diplomacy. The war began as a dispute over the succession to the French throne, but soon escalated into a full-blown conflict between two powerful European kingdoms. The English, led by figures like Edward the Black Prince, were initially successful, winning major victories at Crécy, Poitiers, and Agincourt. But the tide of the war turned in the 15th century with the emergence of Joan of Arc, a young French peasant girl who led the French army to victory at the Battle of Orléans in 1429. Following her martyrdom in 1431, the English were gradually pushed back, and the war ended with the Treaty of Castile in 1453. The Hundred Years' War had a profound impact on medieval Europe, contributing to the decline of feudalism, the rise of national identity, and the emergence of new military technologies and tactics. Fast forward to the early 19th century and the Napoleonic Wars, a series of major conflicts that took place between 1803 and 1815, primarily involving France and its allies against a variety of European coalitions. The wars were a result of the French Revolution and the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, a brilliant military strategist who conquered much of Europe and established a vast empire. Some of the most famous battles in history took place during the Napoleonic Wars, including the Battle of Austerlitz, the Battle of Waterloo. The wars had a profound impact on the political and social order of Europe, ultimately contributing to the establishment of modern nation-states and the spread of revolutionary ideals. The conflict led to significant advancements in military tactics and strategy, emphasizing the importance of logistics and the role of the general staff. That brings us to the 20th century and the first truly global war, World War I. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, triggered a complex web of alliances and obligations, leading to the declaration of war between European powers. The war involved two main alliances, the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliance, which eventually became known as the Axis powers. Fighting took place not only in Europe, but also in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. New technologies such as machine guns, poison gas, and tanks were used, leading to unprecedented levels of casualties. The war resulted in the collapse of several empires, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, and German empires. It also contributed to the rise of communism in Russia and the establishment of the League of Nations, an early attempt at international cooperation and conflict resolution. And finally, we come to the most devastating conflict in human history, World War II, which engulfed the world from 1939 to 1945. The war was marked by the rise of totalitarian regimes in Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the aggressive expansionist policies that led to the conflict. Key events included the German invasion of Poland, the Battle of Britain, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the Holocaust, the systematic persecution and murder of Jews and other minorities by the Nazis. The war ended with the defeat of the Axis powers and the use of atomic weapons against Japan. World War II resulted in an estimated 70 to 85 million deaths, making it the deadliest conflict in human history. It had a profound impact on the geopolitical order, leading to the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers and contributing to the start of the Cold War. After World War II, various conflicts continued to take place around the world, including the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Afghanistan War, the Soviet-Afghan War, and the numerous conflicts of the Cold War era. More recently, conflicts such as the Iraq War and the Syrian Civil War have highlighted the ongoing challenges to peace and stability in different parts of the world. And so ends our whirlwind tour through some of the most pivotal wars in human history. From the ancient battles of Sumer and Troy to the modern conflicts of the 21st century, war has played a constant and devastating role in shaping our world. We can only hope that as we continue to evolve as a species, we will find better ways to resolve our differences without resorting to violence and bloodshed. But until that time comes, the drums of war will continue to echo throughout the ages. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more historical tales. You can also check out some of our other videos, which explore everything from ancient mysteries to historical tales.